Alright, here we go. This is 9.4, reflection. Okay. An object may be reflected over a line of reflection. Now, line of reflection is like the mirror. This is like the mirror principle, okay? So, what we have is we have a line of reflection, okay? And then whatever's right here is the same thing over this side. So this is the line of reflection, is the middle point of where things are going, okay? So this line is usually can be the x-axis, okay? Can be the y-axis. That's most of the time what it is. Every once in a while they'll throw an equation at you. And that equation will give you the line of reflection. So you got to be careful on that, okay? Now, that distance from the point, okay, of an object, no matter what it is, and to the line of reflection is the same on both sides. So this distance from here to here is the same as distance from here to here. Okay? The distance is the same. That makes it easy, okay? So this end we just what they call flip the object over and it reflects. So it goes upside down, okay? So if you think about the object, it's going to rotate sides, the angles are going to change to different sides. So this is a perfect example of reflection right here, okay? This would be the pre-image, and I know that because there's no primes on there. And this is the image after reflection, and this distance from here to here is the same as distance from here to here, and the object is reversed or reflected, so it's reversed like it would normally see in a mirror, okay? Alright? So, but as far as the x-axis and the y-axis, we have two rules. I'm going to put those down here. My x-axis rule, okay? So when I reflect across the x-axis, the rule is real simple. X, Y reflects to, okay, X stays the same, but Y changes signs. That's a sign change. Doesn't mean negative, it means opposite, okay? So this X stays the same and this Y changes signs. So if this is a -3, then this becomes a +3. If this is a 6, this becomes a -6. So it just changes signs. Okay, and for the y-axis reflection, okay, this is the same way it does xy. That reflects to, this time the x changes sign, so -x and +y. So the x changes sign on y-axis reflection, so it's always opposite of the axis. So if it's a y-axis reflection, x is changing signs. If it's an x-axis reflection, y is changing. Excuse me. Y is changing signs. Okay? So, alright, so let's go try this one then. This says we have a plot the reflection of point A across the y-axis. So, because we're going to figure this out the easy way, is just to count it. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps that way. So that's 8 going that way. To reflect it properly, we got to go 8 this way off the line of reflection. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right there would be A prime. And this would be my line of reflection, be right here. So it's my line of reflection right here. So we have to go 8 to the right is where the point was. So to reflect it, we go 8 to the left, and that reflects that point. Okay? Now, if we look at this point here was 8 and 9. And if we lose our rule down here that says if you're going across the y-axis, then the x should change signs. This point went across the y-axis, and this point became -8, 9. And so the x did change signs. It went to negative, and this was positive. Okay? Alright, let's try this next one then. Now, this next one has a 2-axis thing. Okay, they want us to reflect over the y-axis and then over the x-axis. And so they only want us to plot the final point. Okay, so I use a cheater point, okay, meaning this. Use a pencil here to show a cheater point. But as a cheater point, you just say, okay, this point is 1, 2, 3, 4 over, so I'm going to go here and go 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my cheater point. We're going to leave that. We're going to erase that in a minute. Okay. And at that point, so that's over the y-axis first. Then to get over the x-axis, I'm going to go, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down. There's my final point, going to be right there. Okay, so I make this my final point. This is going to be point A prime. Then I go back up here and I erase this point, this intermittent point, because they only want us to show the final answer. So we erase that off of there, and then this is my final answer. So we don't. So, but I use this point to guide me to get to this point. So I use that as an intermittent point, stop there permanently, temporarily, and then move on down to the final answer. Okay. So I only plot the final answer. All right. Okay. Now this next one, we're going to do these without the graph. We're going to do these with just using the rule. So we're going to reflect this point, negative 5, 3, over the y-axis. The y-axis reflection says the x should change sign. So my x is negative 5 here. That means my answer is going to be positive 5 there. And the y stays the same, so the y stays the same. So my y was 3, so it stays the 3 right there. Okay? All right. Second one says we're going to reflect the same point over the x-axis. Well, reflection over the x-axis means the x stays the same, so this is going to be negative 5. And the y-axis, the y-coordinate is going to change signs. Okay? So the negative 3 becomes, the positive 3 becomes a negative 3. Okay? Now, while we're here on this graph, I want to show you a couple things. All right? First off, they might give you a point B like this. Okay? And they'll say reflect this point across the y-axis. Well, it's on the y-axis. And so if a point is on the line of reflection, it can't be reflected. So this cannot be reflected. This is your final answer. Okay? So if it says reflect this point across the y-axis, this will not work because it's on the y-axis. Okay? Now, the second thing they'll do, because they'll say kind of like one of these double things, they're going to give you a point up here, and they'll say, hey, reflect this point across the x-axis. So we're going to reflect it down here. They'll say the second thing, reflect the second point across the x-axis again. Well, guess what? It's going to put it right back where it came from. So if you read carefully, it says reflect across the x-axis, then reflect across the x-axis again. That puts it right back where it came from. So be careful of that, okay? It'll do that to you. All right? Puts it right back where it became. Okay, last on the front here, we're going to do both these. We're going to reflect across. We're going to take this thing across the x-axis and reflect it across the y-axis. Well, if you think about this, across the x-axis changes the y-coordinate, across the y-axis changes the x-coordinate, so basically both these are changing signs. So we're going to get this to be positive 6, positive 8. Okay? All right? Okay. Next page. Here we go. They want us to reflect this, oh, not that, oops. Okay, I want us to reflect the shape across the y-axis. Now these are really simple to do. Just grab a hold of this, start at this point, and then go 1, 2, 3 to the y-axis, then go 1, 2, 3 out. Put a pot right there. This point is 1 to the y-axis, so 1 to this reflection point. This point is, sometimes I use numbers, so this is 8 over. So I'm going to go over here and go to 8 on this side. Let's go over here, negative 8. And this point here is at negative 7 and 1 up. So I'm going to go to positive 7 and 1 up. I'm going to go to negative 7 and 1 up. That's where my point goes there. And my reflected point my reflected shape should be a mirror image. Kind of fun, huh? Mirror image, reflected. Reflected shape is a mirror image of my original shape. Okay? So there's my mirror image shape. Okay? So not too bad. They're not that hard to do. Okay, now we're going to reflect this. We're going to answer some questions. So we're going to reflect this across the x-axis. I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3 up. So this is 1, 2, 3 down. This is 3 down. This is at negative 5 and 8. We're going to negative 5 and negative 8 for that point. This is negative 7 and 8. This is so negative 7 and negative 8. Then I'll put that reflection point down there. Draw my shape. This is easier on Alex, on Alex it has a line, you put a line there that reflects it for you, okay? And then this here answers these questions because these are the exact same shapes, they're mirror image, they are the exact same, they are congruent, so that means that when the figure is reflected, angle measurements stay the same, that's true. When the figure is reflected, the side lengths stay the same, that is also true. And when the figure is reflected, the two sides are parallel to each other with the original figure, then those two sides are parallel to the final figure, that is also true. Now when I do this shape up here, you'll have a thing in Alex that looks like this. They'll have like something in a line and something, that's a vertical reflection. Then they'll have one that goes like this. That's a horizontal reflection, okay? And so you would have to put a horizontal reflection line here, and it'd be right here. You'd put a line right across there. It'd automatically reflect it down there for you, and so you have to draw it, okay? Okay, last thing on the list here is you're going to have us use a different line of reflection instead of an axis. So they have the line of reflection over the line M. So this is line M right here. This is my line of reflection. And that means I don't use any other lines. I don't worry about anything else. Okay? And by the way, this equation right here is the equation x equals 1. That's the equation for that line right there. Okay? Just so you know. They'll give you an equation. Alright, so to do this, we count to the M line. So this is, again, 1, 2 to the M line. So 1, 2 away from the M line. Goes right there. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4 to the M line. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 away from the M line. Okay? This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the M line. I can't use that because that's 5. The M line is different, so it's 6 to the M line. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 away from the M line. Okay? And then we put this up here like this. And that should reflect over that M line, okay? So the line of reflection can change and can be something different than whatever they gave you for line of reflection. That's where you count to and you count from, okay? All right, last one is a combination translation and a transformation, and we do two things. We're going to do translate, then we're going to do reflect. So what I do is I take this first thing and I write this first point down right here. Okay? Alright, then I read this. It says translate this point right 2 units. Well, right 2 units, remember from our other lesson before, right means to move to this x-axis, and we do x plus. Okay? So this is going to be x plus 2 to move 2 units. That means I take my x coordinate and I add 2 to it, so my x coordinate is now 6. Y coordinate did not change. There's my point after my translation. Now I'm going to reflect it across the y-axis. According to my rule, across the y-axis, the x changes signs, so that becomes a -6 and -1. When I go across the y-axis, okay, and so my final answer is -6, -1. Okay? Alright, we're done with that lesson. That's the reflection. Okay, now this should look like a mirror reflection. If you held a mirror up to it, it looks exactly the same on the other side. Okay? Alright, that'll be done pretty good for today.